Welcome back, Nation of Glory. Today, we explore the life journey of a man who stepped into the world not with the intention of merely participating, but to dominate, to command, and to embody a philosophy rooted in discipline, pride, and unwavering respect for the craft he loves. His name is Walter Hahn. But to the world, to the fans, to the wrestlers who have stood in front of him and felt the weight of his presence, his power, and his strikes, he is known as Gunther, der Ringgeneral. A man whose motto, Die Mat ist Heilig, meaning, the mat is sacred, is not just a catchphrase, but a truth he lives by every single day. And as you listen to this story, let it take you on a journey through the making of a general, the rise of a leader, and the incredible transformation of a man carved through discipline, struggle, and unmatched passion for professional wrestling. So sit back, Nation of Glory, because this one is powerful. Gunther's story begins far away from the giant arenas, championship gold, and world-class television production we see today. He was born in Austria, in a place where dreams of becoming a global wrestling star did not come packaged with the comfort of an easy path. There were no major wrestling schools around the corner, no massive promotions hosting weekly shows, no blueprint for how to break into the world's biggest wrestling company. What he did have, however, was a spark, one that would grow into a flame that could not be extinguished. As a boy, Walter Hahn discovered wrestling almost accidentally, but once he did, the world around him changed. He didn't simply watch matches for entertainment. He studied them. He studied the warriors inside the ring, the way they moved, the way they fought, the way they told stories without saying a single word. Wrestling spoke to something deep within him. The intensity, the structure, the discipline. It was a world he immediately understood. And perhaps, a world that immediately understood him back. Being from Austria meant the road to professional wrestling was not as straightforward as it might be for others, but Walter didn't want easy. He wanted purpose. He wanted to step into a ring one day and feel that the world recognized how serious he was about this craft. So he started training locally, anywhere he could, with anyone willing to teach him. His body wasn't built like others his age. He was large, solid, powerful. And while some saw that as a limitation, Walter saw potential. He trained like a soldier. He conditioned his mind as much as he conditioned his body. He embraced toughness, precision, and the purity of wrestling technique. He didn't want to be known for flashiness. He wanted to be known for excellence. His early journey through Europe was filled with nights of wrestling in small venues, sometimes for small crowds, sometimes for no money at all. But Walter never complained. In fact, he welcomed every opportunity to step onto the mat. Because he believed something so deeply that it became the foundation of who he would become, the mat is sacred. The ring is sacred. The craft is sacred. This was not a hobby. Not a job. It was a calling. As Walter progressed, something remarkable happened. People began noticing the presence he carried, a presence far larger than even his imposing frame. When he stepped into the ring, it felt like something changed in the air. Fans sat up straighter. Opponents grew tense. There was a seriousness in his eyes that told everyone, this was not a game. His strikes were different, realer, heavier, louder. His movements were sharp, deliberate, almost militaristic. And the people watching didn't just cheer him, they respected him. This respect would grow into something legendary. Across Europe, Walter began dominating the independent wrestling scene. He became known as a titan, as a man who could take the entire atmosphere of a match and command it. His chops, those devastating, thunderous strikes, became feared, screamed about, talked about around the world. They weren't just attacks. They were statements. Each one said, "You are in my ring now. You are in my world now. And this mat is sacred." As his reputation grew, so did the stories of his matches. Hard-hitting, brutal, beautiful in their simplicity and their intensity. There was no wasted movement. No over-the-top theatrics. Everything he did meant something. Every hold, every strike, every glare told a story of tradition and respect. Gunther wasn't just a wrestler. He was an embodiment of wrestling's oldest foundation, discipline and honor. And soon, the world's biggest wrestling company took notice. When Walter Hahn finally made the jump to WWE, he came with a style unlike anything they had seen in years. He came to NXT UK, and from the moment he stepped into that environment, he changed it. His aura was undeniable. His control was absolute. His presence was overwhelming. And then came the match that would push his name into global recognition, Walter vs. Ilya Dragunov, a rivalry that didn't look like entertainment. It looked like war. Two men fighting with emotion so raw and so powerful that fans around the world still talk about it today. Their battles became legendary. Stories of brutal, poetic violence, where both men seemed willing to tear themselves apart for the sake of honor. Ilya Dragunov carried emotional chaos into the ring. And Walter, soon to become Gunther, carried the strict, unwavering discipline of a general. Their matches were not just wrestling, they were cinematic battles written in sweat, strikes, and survival. When Walter became the longest reigning NXT UK champion in history, it wasn't just because he was dominant physically. It was because everything he represented, craftsmanship, respect, discipline, shined so brightly that he elevated the entire championship. He didn't just hold the title. He legitimized it. Walter Hahn was becoming a legend. But evolution was calling. When he transitioned to WWE's main roster, he did so not as Walter but as Gunther, a name that would grow to symbolize precision, leadership, and control. Alongside Ludwig Kaiser and later Giovanni Vinci, he commanded a group known as Imperium, a faction built entirely on the belief that the mat is sacred. Their presentation was elegant, cold, calculated, and artistic. They walked like soldiers. They stood like statues. They spoke like philosophers of the sport. Gunther didn't follow the path of many modern wrestlers. He didn't rely on constant flash or high-risk acrobatics. His brilliance came from simplicity perfected to the highest degree. A chop, a powerbomb, a sleeper hold, these were not just moves. They were weapons sharpened to their purest form. He represented order in a chaotic world. And then he stepped onto Monday Night Raw. Once Gunther arrived on Raw, the landscape shifted. He wasn't a comedic character. He wasn't a villain played for laughs. He wasn't a loudmouth chasing attention. He was something more rooted, more classic, more respected. He brought an old-school discipline into a modern era and made it look fresh, even dangerous. And then came the era that defined him. The WWE Intercontinental Championship reign. Gunther didn't just win the title. He elevated it to heights fans had not seen in years. Every challenger looked better after facing him. Every match felt like a masterpiece. And every defense carried a weight, a seriousness, that made the championship feel important again. He didn't cheat to win. He didn't hide. He dominated through excellence. His reign became the longest intercontinental championship reign in WWE history, a number so large and so impressive that it immediately entered the history books. And he did it his way, through discipline, through honor, through the belief that the mat is sacred. Gunther represents something rare in wrestling, an athlete who doesn't compromise his identity. He didn't change his style to fit WWE. He brought his style and forced WWE to adapt to him. And the fans, they respected it. Many adored it. Others feared it. But everyone, without question, saw the greatness in it. From Austria to Europe to NXT UK to Raw, Gunther's journey is one built on self-control, focus, and the unwavering belief that respect must be earned through action. He didn't need flashy catchphrases. He didn't need comedy. He didn't need shortcuts. He just needed the mat. Because the mat is sacred. Every kid who grew up without a clear path, every dreamer who didn't know how to reach the top, every person disciplined enough to build themselves brick by brick, can see a piece of themselves in the journey of Der Ringgeneral. Gunther's rise is a reminder that greatness doesn't always come from flash. Sometimes it comes from dedication, from structure, from the quiet hours of training when no one is watching, from believing in a philosophy so deeply that the world begins to believe in it too. Today, Gunther stands on Raw as one of the most respected performers of this generation. His name commands attention. His matches demand silence from the audience, not out of boredom, but out of the kind of respect people have when witnessing real craftsmanship. He is more than a wrestler. He is a general, not because someone gave him the title, but because he earned it every single day. So as you watch Gunther step into the ring, remember the boy from Austria who had no roadmap. The young man who trained in small gyms. The wrestler who built a reputation through intensity. The champion who broke records. The leader who brought meaning back to simplicity. The man who believes, with every fiber of his being, that wrestling is an art, and that the mat is its sacred canvas. Thank you for joining this journey today, Nation of Glory. If this story inspired you, motivated you, or gave you a new appreciation for the artistry behind wrestling, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others who love these powerful stories. Your support keeps this channel growing, keeps these stories alive, and keeps the glory rising. Thank you, and until next time, stay disciplined, stay inspired, and stay loyal to your dreams.